Colonel, stay with us. Let's continue our conversation now with Senator Chuck Grassley and retired Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann. Again, thanks to both you gentlemen. Senator Grassley, you wrote a letter to Attorney General Eric Holder this week and said that the gun ban, quote, effectively voids Second Amendment rights, especially for our veterans. Have you gotten any reaction from the Attorney General?
Not yet, but we will, because this is something that we're not going to be able to justify. In fact, I knew about this a year ago, and I had an amendment on a gun bill that was up in the United States Senate to make sure before somebody could be put on this list from the Veterans Administration that there would be a judicial authority who would have to find that that individual would have to be a danger to themselves or others in order to be added to this mental defective category that's at the index there where they keep names of people that shouldn't have guns. Now, I would admit to anybody that there are some people with mental disorders that should not have guns. But in this particular case, the VA is doing even this stupid thing. If you might need some assistance with your bookkeeping, somebody else to handle your money, and they would turn your name over to this to the Justice Department that you shouldn't be able to have a gun, and not being able to handle your own money is not a high enough standard that you shouldn't be able to have a gun. So about 99.3% of the individuals in this what they call mental defective category were submitted by the Veterans Administration. So just think how our veterans who have defended the country and handled a gun in a responsible way come back here and somebody's got maybe a sister or a wife's got to take care of their money for them, and then they can't have a gun. That's no determination of whether you're mentally defective.
Well, let me turn to Scott Mann. Scott is a retired lieutenant colonel and an advisor to Concerned Veterans of America. I guess this gun ban has you pretty concerned as well.
Yeah, I mean, I find it ironic that, I carried a gun for nearly 23 years, JD, and all of our veterans, we put the confidence in them to carry a gun and close with and destroy the enemy on some of the roughest places on the planet, but yet we're gonna do something as sweeping as this. I'm almost in disbelief of it. We've got to have more confidence in our veterans than that. And again, I think this whole thing of the way we're approaching the veterans transition is really, we're taking the wrong approach to it. We got to stop thinking of returning veterans as the island of misfit toys. These guys are high performers, resilient leaders, and problem solvers, and frankly have a lot to bring back to America. And taking away the Second Amendment right doesn't make any sense. Maybe some specific minor cases, but this sounds way too sweeping to me.
And again, the background on this, why the VA has put some of these names on the list. The department is classifying some of these veterans as, quote, mental defective. But, Senator, you just pointed out that you called it stupid because I guess under one construct, if any veteran turned to an accountant for help with their taxes, since they had to be turned in on April 15th, it's conceivable the VA could list them for that, looking for that kind of help.
Well, all of the above. It looks to me like I think I gave you the percentage of 99 3/10% of these individuals that are on this list came from the VA. So that looks like we have it targeted towards one class of people violating a fundamental constitutional right, which the Second Amendment is. It's just as important as any other part of the Bill of Rights. And the right to bear arms, they can't do it as a civilian, but they could do it as a person in uniform. And it just doesn't treat our veterans right. But there's something wrong when a whole class of people get swept up and denied the right to own guns, because if you're on this list within the Department of Justice and you go in to buy a gun and the gun salesman has to make sure that you fall into the category of a person competent to own a gun, then they dial up this Department of Justice, and see your name, you can't buy a gun.
And so the vets are being victimized. Chuck, less than a minute remains. Very quickly, since you chaired the hearing.
Wait until you hear this. Second Amendment fight for vets firing off right now in Washington, D.C. 99% of those on the federal gun ban list for being mentally defective are placed there by the VA. But as Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley points out in a letter to Eric Holder, can you really be considered mentally defective just for needing financial assistance? Here to explain what that means is Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich. Katie, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So as it turns out, the VA can notify the feds, this person is mentally defective because they came here asking for benefits. They couldn't figure out how the VA benefits work, so they're mentally defective, so they can't have a gun.
Right. Essentially what the Veterans Administration is doing is they take these veterans in who need help with their finances, and in return they report them to the federal gun ban list at DOJ, and their Second Amendment rights are effectively erased, because if you need help with your finances at the VA, then you are deemed mentally defective, and therefore you should not be able to own a gun. Now, the important thing here is the VA standards, A, aren't allowed by federal regulation. They don't have the regulations on their side to do this. And B, are only limited to finances and have nothing to do with whether a veteran is a harm to themselves or others. So this is effectively a way for them to attack the Second Amendment rights of veterans, and it has to be changed.
You know, because it is so complicated navigating the way the federal government works, to ask for help with your VA benefits is like asking for help with your taxes. We don't understand how it works. We ask for help, and then we're deemed mentally defective. People at the VA. Is this just a backdoor way of keeping guns out of the hands of people who know how to operate them?
That certainly seems to be the case. And if we want to talk about people being mentally defective with finances, then every federal government agency in Washington, D.C. would be deemed mentally defective.
You're
and
right.
So, you know, this is a direct attack on the Second Amendment rights of veterans. It has to be changed, and I would hope that Congress does something to make those changes, because it's absolutely unacceptable.
Katie, exit question. Why are they doing this?
Well, they say that, you know, they're using a federal regulation that allows them to put, you know, as you said, 99% of veterans on this list. But the fact is that that regulation only applies to regulating finances, has nothing to do with Second Amendment rights. And so Senator Grassley has sent a letter to Eric Holder saying, you need to explain yourself, and we need to know why the VA is putting so many veterans on the federal gun ban list and deemed mentally defective.
And 99% of the people on that list are coming from the VA. The other departments, they think everybody's just fine. It's all messed up. Katie, thanks very much for getting up early on this Tuesday morning and being with us.
Thank you.
All right. What do you folks think about that? Email us, friends@foxnews.com. It's crazy, right? Yeah.